Nice.
And we are jumping on here. Let's see. Yep, we're live. Almost zero lag.
We're live again.
We are live again. Hello, welcome, Mixed Surfaces listeners. This time we have a special co-host, right? Co-host, not a guest. You're a co-host, Graham. You guys might have seen Graham in some of the Mid-South video. You know, he did pretty good. He didn't crash himself out, although he almost broke my GoPro. So there's that. You know, you remember that girl? You probably owe me. You owe me a GoPro.
I definitely. I was set to film B-roll. I don't know if it qualified as B-roll. It was like D, E, or F roll, but you know,
pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah,
you got me a couple subscribers, so not bad.
Not bad for my first go, but I added some stress. You know, like all the equipment. I felt like I couldn't let you down.
That's right. Otherwise, you would not be invited on this podcast. You know,
if it hadn't been for that, I suppose so. You brought me back, so must have done something right.
Jason, how's it going, man?
It's good, buddy. How you been? Good to see you, Graham. I do remember Graham from World of Bikes there briefly. I rolled through. I think it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2.5 years ago.
Yeah, you were you walked in and all the guys just flocked to you. So clearly, I knew that I was out of my league. I just stood in the back and let you kind of bask in the glory of it.
Well, I give it money, you know.
Yeah.
Jason learned most of the things that he knows from this guy.
From you.
Oh yeah, all from Maria. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Checked out. Definitely.
Oh my goodness.
So did I learn to forget my helmet at home when I go to my dad's cabin 3 hours away for a gravel riding weekend?
No, only the good things.
Yeah.
Your shortcomings are not my responsibility.
Yeah, we're putting our clothes on to go for a nice gravel ride. I'm like, where's my helmet? So my helmet and my GoPro were both in the back seat of my truck. So I rode without a helmet.
So do you have any footage of the riding?
So I used my camera. Okay. And I got a lot of video of my handlebars and my front tire, and that's it.
Yes, so, you know that's the first time mistake there. And when for those of you that want to start shooting your rides, record the first few clips, stop on the side of the road, and play back.
I rode around the camp and I looked, and it looked like it was good. But when I was going around the camp, I was sitting up, and when we started out on the ride, I was in, on the hoods and kind of, going. So, yeah, and then I don't know. I have to, there's no internet service up there. And, so I kind of went through it on the camera. Yeah. I have to go through it tonight, actually on my phone to see if there's any clips I can salvage. So, but we did I introduced Larry to the mountains of mid-state Pennsylvania, and we did like 30 miles with, I don't know, 2,800 feet of climbing, something like that. So I forgot my GoPro too. So
what's the gravel like up there?
None of it happened. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's all in the woods. It was kind of dampish, so there was a little bit of mud, but it was just kind of soft mud, kind of enough to coat you a little bit, but it wasn't slick or anything. But we did a nice ride from camp, about a half a mile of road, dipped in and did this hill climb and this road called Hungry Hollow Road. And we got to the top of Hungry Hollow and dropped down to this state park called Ole Bull State Park. And that was it was a snowmobile trail. So I really wish I had footage of that, but it was a nice downhill. And we went through the state park, across the road, and then up another gravel road that was like another 3-mile climb. And then kind of across the top of that, heading back towards the cabin, came into the little town of Cross Fork, and then like a 2-mile ride on the road back to camp. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it rained on us a little bit, but it was like 70 degrees. The sun came out a little bit here and there, but yeah, good ride. Introducing Larry to gravel riding, like legit gravel riding.
Is he a convert? Is Larry now a convert?
Yeah, I'm trying to talk him into getting a bike. He's a roadie guy. He's pretty tough. Have you ever heard of the Pittsburgh Dirty Dozen?
Oh yeah.
So he's placed, I think his highest place is like second or first. He might have won it one year. But he's usually a top 10 finisher there for like the last 12 years.
So he's strong.
So he's a strong climber. You get him on the flat, he doesn't hang on the flat very long.
Yeah.
You know, Jason, and you remember you couldn't even hang with me on the flats, though. My power on the flats is
exactly. You know,
but going uphill is my Achilles, so I need to work on that.
There would have been a lot of video of him like slowly walking away from me and just kind of disappearing up the hill. And he was on my bike.
Man. What bike was he riding?
I gave him the felt.
Oh, nice.
My cross bike that I've kind of converted into gravel. I thought he might like that. And yeah, we're riding along and he's in the big ring, standing up, pedaling the whole time and just like, see ya. So,
man.
Yeah.
Because where he lives, is it pretty hilly or right?
He lives in Charlottesville, Virginia. So there's some hills down there.
And a good road scene. The road scene there, I've heard, is like really strong.
Yeah. He does some road riding, and he's got like 3 or 4 road bikes and a mountain bike, but he goes out to try and find hills, and he just goes and does like hill repeats all day long, and then that's all he does. So I'm trying to talk him into like gravel tires that are wider than 40.
Oh boy.
I have my bike was set up with a 40 on the front and a 38 on the back, just because that's what I had. And I'm like, look, you want to get something and you can at least put a 45 or a 48 on. I said, I know you may not want to go to like a 2.0, but yeah. So
and you know, I give people a hard time about tire clearance. I mean tire size, but in all honesty, like you guys remember, like here, like right now, this time of the year here, the gravel is like pavement. You know, they haven't dumped the fresh gravel yet. So we went out riding Friday with Jake. We did like 36 miles, crazy wind. But he had the 40 up front. Renee has road tire. What's that called? You guys remember that?
Like the Barlow Pass or something like that, or
something like that.
Who knows?
And he had a 40 up front and like 36 in the back. So I mean, he was, did all right. So not bad.
I think bigger's better though. I think that's where everybody's going, especially riding on the East Coast, man. I mean, coming back from like Midwest gravel, where like you said, it's pavement, and then you come back over to the East Coast, and I mean, it is rugged over here. It's like I don't want anything less than a 50 when I go out and ride gravel. I feel like.
Yeah. Unless you want to call your wife to come get you, and which she might not be happy about that.
I think I've got like 10 lives when it comes to that, and I've used like 7 of them. So I try to keep a flat kit at this point. So I only got 3 more calls before she makes me walk home.
You need to get one of those mini pumps.
I've got one.
What do you have?
So I got the Cyclops. It's about that big.
Let me see if I can find it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, it's perfect, especially for mountain biking, when the conditions, you need to just dial your pressure up a little bit or down a little bit if it's a little slick. And I just carry it with me on the trail and pops right on and nails the pressure every single time.
So there's a flex tail. There's
not that one, right?
No. It's I think it's called Cyclops.
Cyc Plus.
Let me find it.
There's
I've got it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's like a Cyc Plus that I've seen. Yeah. They've got like 3 or 4 different models.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Cyc Plus.
Yeah.
It's white. I know that.
Is that the silicone?
Yes. Yeah, the
casing
little
on it.
silicone.
Yeah.
That's the one I have. Yeah, it works well.
Which one? Which one is it again?
I see
which
it.
model? Do you know?
I don't. I got
Is it that one
honestly,
right there?
it's that one, yeah. But it's got a little silicone cover over it.
Yeah, they all come with a little.
Yeah. That's
because they get hot.
They do. Yeah, that is one thing I noticed is that they do get really hot. Yeah. Got to be a little careful about that. But
yeah, they get really hot because they got to pump that air in there. And yeah, I mean that would.
Oh yeah, I've seen this one. Yeah, I've seen this one.
I wonder if they probably can't set a bead.
No way. Because it takes a while. Like, I mean, if I'm doing my mountain bike tires and say I'm doing like 22, 23 PSI, I mean, even if I'm going from like 16 or 15, it takes a good 20, 30 seconds to get up there. If you're trying to set a bead, or seat a bead, no way you're going to be able to do that. You need a compressor or something like that.
But they will pump up in in about a minute or so. And they'll go to like 100, 120 PSI. Some of them, about 100. I think 100 is probably the standard.
Yeah. I feel bad for whoever the poor souls are that are pumping up their tires to 100 PSI these days.
Well, that's the roadies.
Yeah.
That's the roadies.
That's Larry.
That used to be in there. So you see, although what I've noticed is I like the mini pumps that come with the low hose, but I feel like then you have a little bit more leverage, especially if you're out there on the road.
Yeah.
My hand pump is a Lezyne, and I got it specifically because it's got that hose in there because I've busted valves off and valve cores off and stuff trying to. Of course, I never get flats, so.
No.
One time.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, one time we were in Trinidad, Colorado, and Rene Hasses, we've always had good success with these tires. We both had them on, and we had stopped. We just got enough. We had to ride 10 miles on the road, and we're getting turned on to gravel. And we stopped, and we didn't realize. So we're reading that there was some maps to see where we're gonna go, and we didn't see there was somebody just went there and just busted bottles, And the van just pushed her back just a little bit. She wasn't even riding; she was pushing it, and then sealant was everywhere. And we hadn't had a flat for maybe 3 years until then. And one time she wasn't even riding and she got one. So that was pretty insane.
Word on the street is that Silca is going to be releasing a little compressor pump. I don't know if that's supposed to be released yet, but I heard it through the grapevine that here in Q2 or Q3 they're going to be releasing one, which we all know Silca, they make good stuff, so might be the one to pick up.
That's exciting news because Silca, man, their R&D team is pretty wild. I feel for how small they are.
Hey, so you got the info up there, Aria. I remember seeing it. What's the weight of them, and how does that compare to a Lezyne mini hand pump?
Oh yeah, let me take a look.
That's a good question. I mean, because if you're a weight weenie like some people, I would think they're pretty close.
So this one that we're looking at, the
100 grams.
Yeah, 120 grams.
Okay. Now what's a Lezyne hand pump? 50?
Yeah, I would guess.
Mini pump, maybe. Because that would be considerable in size. Yeah. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, no, I think for me the ease of use, right, is just this. I think where they had the micro drive, right? Is it the micro drive, right? That was pretty good. Okay, let's go with this guy here. I think the carbon one, super lightweight, 82 grams, so 40-gram difference.
Yeah, wow. So the difference is though, you guys know how it is. You flat, usually your heart rate's pinned. You sit there and pump. I mean, that's true. Stressful. Just to be able to put that thing on there and just listen to it inflate your tire, and it gets it to. That's the difference too between the Lezyne pumps and these pumps is that you're dialing in the PSI to exactly.
That's true. That is correct.
So, if that's important to you, that definitely plays into it.
No, that makes sense.
I think two of those mini. Well, I know the two of the mini pumps that I looked at. There's one that you have, but it's like a lower model, doesn't have a gauge on it, and there was another one like the Flex Tail. It doesn't have a gauge on it either. Yeah. So some of them have, and some of them don't. And some of those hand pumps have, and some don't.
Yeah.
And how accurate are they?
Better question: how accurate are you?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Jason, you've been around for a while. Like, can you do the pinch test? And you're like, that's about 32 psi right there. I think.
I just say it's good or bad. There's like Yeah.
Good to go. I wonder if the listeners who really thinks that they can tell. Because everybody's squeezing each other's tires at the starts of races to feel what the PSI is. I wonder who really knows out there.
Yeah, I just give it like what. Don't put all your weight on it, or you're good to go, or you're solid, man. That's
what the tests I've seen people do is when some of the pros anyway, they'll you pump it up and then apparently you're supposed to push it with both hands with your weight, and then however much flex is how much give or take is what you're gonna get once you start riding with your full body weight. So you kind of give it a good go with both hands. You push it down, and then however much trouble you get there is what you're gonna get when you sit on the bike.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not counting for the bike weight, your weight. If you have stuff in your pocket, but they say it gets pretty close to that one. But
pretty close.
I just squeeze it old school. Like, oh, that feels good. Then down the road to crank it up. I just want
someone to tell me it sounds right or it feels right, and then I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah,
I never
you're yelling at the person behind you. How does my tire look?
Yeah, exactly. Am I bouncing too much?
Have I has the rim hit yet? Yeah, you know what? I definitely might be.
Kenya said hello.
I would
hello,
maybe.
Kenya.
They are solidly watching us. They've watched. They've been on there, 3 or 4 weeks now.
Yeah, we had 10 people watching at one point in time. So
we'll have to send them a hat if we get hats.
There we go.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So Graham, tell us about your shop. Tell us what you're doing. People, actually, let's give a brief introduction of Graham. Tell us what you're doing, all the cool stuff you're doing down there, and let's roll with that. So people know.
I'll keep it pretty short. So I met Aria, and I guess Jason, my wife, and I moved up to Iowa for her training for a few years. So I did a short stint in Iowa City and kind of stopped my corporate career and went to work at the wonderful World of Bikes with Baker and Egan and all that crew over there, kind of show me the ropes of what it was like to be in the bike industry, and then just kind of continued that on when we moved back down here to Chattanooga. So I work for the Trek store in Chattanooga. Awesome store. We do everything from custom titanium bikes up to, the top end of Trek's, SLR and Project One offerings down to just hybrid bikes and everything in between. But cool population down here because there's a really competitive edge. So lots of pro racers that are bringing their bikes in. So we get to see a lot of the new tech and work a lot with, things like flight attendant and whatnot. And so it's a lot of fun. And so I'm living down here in Chattanooga. I got 2 little daughters. So I got a 5-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, which occupy the majority of my time. But just trying to figure out, what my next step is in the bike industry and where to go. And in the meantime, getting to hang out at a really cool shop that services a lot of great customers and good people down here in Chattanooga. Primarily a huge mountain bike scene down here. Drives most of the business, but then also a pretty competitive road scene. The gravel scene is something I'm trying to generate a little bit more, but it's not like Iowa where I can walk out my front door and be gone for 400 miles on the gravel. You gotta hunt it there a little bit and string it together. But it's a great place. So I'm loving it. Happy to be here on the podcast to bring a little bit of a Southern touch to the conversation.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you. We're happy to have you for sure. So how far from your house before you get on the fast? Do you have to drive to gravel, or can you ride from your house to gravel?
I can ride. Probably the closest gravel ride's like a 3 or 4 mile ride, and then there's a good like old kind of rails to trail climb that goes all the way up Lookout Mountain, which is kind of the primary mountain. It's about, I think it's probably 1,200 feet tall. So it's about an 8 mile ride up the mountain, and then you can choose to come back down it, or bottom of the road descends back down. But a lot of what we do here is like kind of, and it's changed my opinion on like what a gravel bike is, because you can string a lot of road gravel segments and then some single track together. And so like the bike that you choose becomes really important at that point, where, running 38s or 40s, like you're talking about, Jason, that doesn't work so much, because you really got to pick a tire that can handle the more jagged, rougher terrain. But when you can do that, it becomes so much fun, because then you really can, cross through the town and adventure through all the different, mountain biking areas and few gravel segments that we have. But to get to real gravel, it's probably about an hour and a half drive, and then that gets you out into like East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, and that is incredible out there. Like it's really, really nice out there.
Yeah, that so when you get out that way, you start ending up the Eastern Continental Divide. Bike packing route is kind of comes down through that Western North Carolina, and I think it ends up in Georgia. But yeah, it gets pretty. You get out in the boonies out there.
It's you definitely pedal faster when you hear the banjo music. I'll put it that way. Yeah, right.
Down in the hollows,
you know when you hit your PRs when you hear that. But no, people are good around here. I mean, I think
so.
Cool.
So Graham, what's your biking history? Did you start out as a graveler, a roadie, or a mountain biker?
Man, I started out as, I guess, a mountain biker, but really just in the simplest sense of the world. Like I think I was 14 and I got a Specialized Hard Rock Comp, and that was my mountain bike until I was banging my knees on the handlebars. And then it kind of transitioned to, I was a swimmer growing up, so got into triathlon for a little while, which then led to road, and then dabbled again back into mountain biking, and then moved up to Iowa and was full gravel, because what else are you going to do up there but ride gravel in Iowa? And now I'm back here and trying to figure out what is my cycling identity, because I just feel like I've just I'm like a military child, just like
you've got all the identities.
I've got all of it. So I got 3 gravel bikes, 2 road bikes, a mountain bike, and I've got the new Salsa Tributary, which I don't know what that bike is.
Oh.
Yes. But
for those that don't know, let me pull it up.
It's my favorite bike, I have to say. I think they've done something right there.
Aria, you haven't done a triathlon.
Yeah, when are we gonna get you on one?
I'll probably let me tell you something, okay? Me and swimming.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I can swim, but maybe for about 50 yards before I am gassed out. And then I'm gonna have to get my back and float the whole way out there. So by the time I get out of the water, we'll have closed the coast. So definitely no triathlon for me anytime soon.
Man, you come down here to Chattanooga, we've got we got a half Ironman down here and an Ironman, and both of them are downstream swims. So we'll just put some water wings on you, and you just monkey airplane soldier your whole way down.
I can do that. That will be.
when I was training for an Ironman, I think the Chattanooga was the one we were going to do.
Yeah, it's great.
If I'm not mistaken. I bailed out after the half Ironman. I said, no, I don't need to do a full Ironman.
Hey, Kenya, this is the bike we're talking about, the Tributary. Which one did you get?
I got the Rival, so I didn't go Force. I wanted transmission, but I didn't
look at that thing though. Holy cow! Hopefully, Ivan's on here, so the accountant has to approve it. Let's see. Which one? It's Rival.
It's the Rival. Right next to the Force.
PRX.
It's Sram.
Oh yeah, right here. Okay.
There.
Oh
yeah.
Man, look at that thing. What's the range on that?
Man, so they claim 90 miles of range when you're on Eco. I went out and I left work early, of course, to go ride, and went and rode a lap on Lookout Mountain. So I think I ended up doing like 2,500 feet of climbing over about 35 miles. And when I got back, I had 40 or 38% of battery left. And that was like varying it. So, I mean, it's super impressive to me. And then with the Class 3 motor, I'm going to get myself killed on this thing, I think.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, man, and the tire. So the tires too that come with this thing, the E-lines, amazing. This is the only tire I've ridden. I've ridden other tires on my mountain bike, but this tire here does well if you're gonna do a long day, even just gravel riding on your mountain bike. That tire is just amazing.
So is that a Bosch motor?
Yeah, it's the Bosch Smart System, so the upgraded motor, and it's got a really cool mode on there, which I think they call it on the mountain bikes, they call it EMTB, but it's basically an auto mode.
Yeah,
so it fluctuates through the power levels, and that is amazing as far as how it integrates in with what you put down as power. But I mean, you still work, but you just go so far.
Drop a seat post also, right, from the factory.
Yeah,
get rid of that.
Oh, no way. That makes those road descents so much fun. You can just lay on top of the top tube and you go fast. Yeah. Man,
that bike is amazing. I think it's probably one of Salsa's best bikes.
I think,
if somebody had to twist my arm tomorrow to go to the shop to get one, and like, hey, these are all the bikes you can get, Trek, whatever, road bike, this is what I'll go for. This is it right here.
I fully endorse it.
What are the, just out of curiosity there, what are the sizes they come in?
Let's take a look.
Small, medium, large, I think. And the large,
I think someone does a pretty good job.
Too.
Oh,
is there an XL?
Extra small all over to extra large.
Yeah. So, but it's like the Cutthroat, so it fits big. It feels like a big bike. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Cutthroat's long, the Cutthroat's long. So, my camera, what happened to my camera? It's saying it's overheating.
Again.
Again.
You need to get a cooling system for that.
I'm not sure what's going on with the thing. It's like, I don't know if the battery is just kind of messed up, but I'll put the picture up here for now, and you guys can carry it.
You are just too hot, Aria.
You're right.
That's correct.
It's too nice.
That's correct. That's what's going on for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that, but anyway. Yeah, no, those tributaries are amazing bikes. I think Salsa is really doing a good job.
So it's the GX, right?
It's got GX transmission on it.
Okay, so it's
drive shifters.
Yeah.
Which the transmission, that was a deal breaker for me. Urea and I rode that bike last year at Mid-South because they were demoing it.
Yeah.
But it was hard for me to kind of wrap my head around getting a e-mountain bike or an e-bike with that much torque without having something to protect that rear end a little bit. And so the transmission came out, it was kind of a no-brainer for me at that point. But I'm kind of, your new bike, I know it's not here yet, but you're getting XX or XO on that?
It's XO1.
XO?
Yeah, and it'll have the transmission, which aside from riding a few at the shop here and there, that'll be my first real ride on a transmission bike. And SRAM just came out with the EOL mechanical.
It's the EOL 90 and EOL 70.
Yeah, EOL 90 and EOL 70. We were talking about that this week at the shop, and I think that's great.
I think it's wonderful.
I don't, I like the electronic stuff. I hope it all doesn't go that way. Just because I like mechanical, I think it's.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, it's not everybody can afford all the electronic stuff, and to me, there's a certain amount of durability in a cable. I mean, anybody can fix a cable, really.
I mean, I think it depends on where you come from, right? I mean, like your background's like big rides, Tour Divide, things like that, where you might be having to make, hack adjustments on the fly.
Yeah.
I want mechanical if I'm doing something like that. But for me, the suburbanite daily rider, electronic is where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, you could everything has its niche. My concern was that when Shimano started doing our 105s are going to go electronic, and we're going to get rid of the mechanical side of 105 completely. Why would you do that? I guess they're going to still support the old stuff, but just okay, so now if you want to ride Shimano and you don't want to be electronic, you got to go to a Sora. I had my road bike is an old steel frame road bike that I've kind of refurbished, and I thought I don't want to ride the same carbon bike as everybody else. I want to do a nice stylish road bike. I'm not going to be faster than everybody else, so why ride a bike that's going to be the carbon thing? So I had to buy all my stuff was aftermarket, because I had to try and it was older used stuff to try and get the cables, because everything I had to have cable brakes, mechanical brakes. I couldn't do hydraulics on an old steel frame, so I still think it has a place, and I'm hoping that the big companies don't kind of go away with it. But
well, I mean, I think Sram committing and opening up two things that they did with this XC90, and I'm curious to know what people think. I think it's cool how they, just like everything else, it's integrated into their ecosystem. So they're using the GX cassette. So that's really nice. And then, it really makes me wonder, and this is pie in the sky, but it kind of makes me wonder if you look at the mechanism of what the XC90 is, there's really not a whole lot difference in the mechanism to where it wouldn't surprise me if down the road SRAM doesn't offer a retrofit kit to take your XC90 derailleur and make it wireless. I think that there is an opportunity that they will do that at some point to even bridge the gap further, to kind of let people come in at a lower price point and then build their bike to the spec that they wanted to. But yeah, I think it's really cool that they've done that, and I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunity for people to be on, what I believe is a pretty incredible rear derailleur and do it at a more budget price.
Yeah, it's weird how you some people like that SRAM feel, and then they've got their opinions about the brakes. And I know when I worked at WAB, some of the guys were throwing the SRAM GX or whatever shifters and derailleur on, and then they were swapping out their brakes for Shimano brakes because the Shimano brakes were so good. And of course, when you're doing drop bar stuff, you can't do that.
Yeah,
you can't switch that around. But yeah, I don't know.
So is that available to buy yet? I don't see.
It's available.
The transmission 90, the Eagle 90, it's available.
Yeah, I've got it on order for a customer at my shop. They're selling it through Q right now, so I can get it directly through SRAM as well, I think.
It's Eagle 90, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
And Eagle 70, which is, so I think the big difference between Eagle 90 and Eagle 70, and people in the audience comment if I'm wrong, I'm usually wrong, but I think the big difference is the ease of replacement of broken parts and things like that, and the ability to work on the Eagle 90 is a little easier to work on than the Eagle 70 is. I think it's more of if you break it, you're gonna be replacing it, but it does come in at a lower budget piece. At least that's what I read.
They're pretty.
Oh yeah, and that's actually one of the top building points right there, right? Replaceable skid plates, outer and inner parallelogram link. Man, so you can rebuild this thing. You can replace a lot of parts on this thing.
Yeah. And the price point, they're pretty moderately priced too, I think. I mean, that's a fair price.
Yeah, what is the price for the Eagle 90?
$190 for the 90.
Yeah.
And then for the whole group set, that's okay. So now we're talking, right? Because
$400 for a group set, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is like $590, for us regular people, Jason's probably cheaper for you guys and Grab. But $590 to $660 for a whole drivetrain, not bad.
Yeah.
For if you want the ego stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a really interesting, we'll see how customers take to it, because I mean, there's pushback around the way that transmission shifts. The adage, oh, it shifts slowly, due to the fact that the chain's mapped to the cassette and it has its specific shift points.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I wonder if the new XC90 is going to have that same feedback, especially with people that are used to mechanical shifting, to where it shifts as fast as you're clicking it for the most part. So I wonder if there'll be any kind of blowback or feedback to Sram on that.
Yeah, did you guys see there's that new drivetrain? The Taipei Bike Expo was happening this past week, I believe, and they had a kind of a transmission rival, and this thing was pretty fantastic. It ran off of you could actually bend your derailleur, and you could actually go in the app and remap, like based on where the derailleur is, you can go and remap the whole cassette. So if you can't get it bent back out, and remap the whole thing, and you shift as though your derailleur is not even bent. Pretty crazy stuff. I'll see if I can find it and I'll share it. But yeah, it's pretty impressive.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which is why if you really think about it, that's what electronic shifting was supposed to bring to the table, right? Is you're supposed to be able to remap your whole cassette, regardless of where your derailleur is sitting, to work that way. And until obviously somebody made it like, oh yeah, this is what electronic shifting should have been, to give you that ease of like, hey, I can use any cassette to make this derailleur work. You don't have to be tied to, a 12 speed, 13 speed. You can just grab whatever, and the electronic derailleur should be able to figure this out, and you off to the races. Which, now that I see the product, I'm like, yes, this makes sense.
Well,
like that wheel top group set. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah. What's that thing called?
It's wheel top. I think they claimed that they could do like 14 speed. It goes something crazy like that. I mean, it's exactly what you're talking about, Aria. Is that it's like a comprehensive, group set that no matter what you put on it, can accommodate. But
there you go, 14 speed. There it is. How much is it? $399. So you get what you pay for, though.
So what's that company called? Riding? Is it Riding or Ingride or something?
Yes, and you're trying to make sense of these names.
No, so their derailleur is completely rebuildable. You can swap out cages, you can swap out parallelograms and springs. It's completely ING. What is it? I'm looking. Take your time.
All right, look it up. Send me in chat if you see it. I'm still troubleshooting my camera, guys. I apologize to all of you out there watching.
Missing your beautiful face.
Technical difficulties happen all the time.
What's going on with your camera there?
I don't know. Who knows?
Ingrid.
Yes.
Ingrid.
Isn't Ingrid not a boutique brand, right? Aren't they a boutique brand?
Yeah, but dude, that stuff's nice stuff. I haven't seen any of it in person.
It is.
Dude, that's mechanical. But it's top-notch stuff. And I think they're pretty compatible with anything you'd want. And, yeah, check that stuff out.
Jeez.
Looks like Legos.
Right. Wow.
What's the cost on that, Aria? I can't see.
572 pounds. Euros.
For just the rear back?
Yeah.
Chump change.
Yeah.
And that's a special edition. If you want all the Lego themed color, and then you got the RD1 MK2 Mark II, 1x11, 1x12. Man, they need to get up to speed, and that's about 537 euros. Yeah, man, that machined so well.
I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought maybe they were going to come out with a drop bar system as well, but maybe I'm just wishful thinking there. But
man, I'm kind of curious with Sram jumping early and releasing this mechanical transmission, which I think we all felt coming, but it kind of puts Shimano in a weird spot all over again, right? They're talking about releasing their upgraded group sets, and I look around and I'm like, where's the space for Shimano off-road, like outside of GRX? Like I mean, I agree with the brakes, like you said. I do like Shimano brakes more than I like SRAM brakes, but I worry. I mean, I don't know what everybody thinks, but are they gonna just quietly release their new drivetrain and just like they did last year with 12 speed, and no one's gonna even know it happened? And I don't know. Is this SRAM's move to finally take it over?
Yeah, it could be. I tell you, I like my GRX drivetrain. I don't know if when I decided to get my GRX stuff, I went with a 2x because I thought, let me try a 2x out for gravel, and I do like it for gravel, but I don't think I would do it again. I think I would go back to a 1x.
Yeah, I run that GRX 2x as well, and it's good. But I agree with you. Just the peace of mind, I think of just knowing that you can put a chain guard or a chain catcher on there, and I just know I'm never going to drop a chain again. And
yeah,
I'm okay with it. Yeah. Hey, look who's back.
Oh
man, I had to do so much troubleshooting, guys. I don't get paid enough for this podcast.
you need tech support over there to do that.
Yvonne was down here helping me. She was quiet.
Too much didn't make an appearance.
She didn't want to make us look bad,
So we talked about some pumps, and we talked about our drivetrain stuff. Somebody suggested the the Milan San Remo.
Yeah, did you guys watch Milan San Remo?
I caught a little bit of highlights.
I saw the highlights, and dude, the end there when how did Pogacar not finish that off? But I guess, yeah.
I don't know.
Good on Vanderpool.
Yeah, I mean, Pogacar. I mean, he's the first person to ever break away on the Cipressa. So you got 2 climbs, right? For those that don't know. You ride for 5-6 hours, and then you climb the Cipressa, and then you climb the Poggio. And everybody waits for the Poggio usually, but I mean, he broke everyone on the Cipressa, but there's that big old Netherlander that just, I mean, you can't break that, man. And then props to Filippo Ganna too. I mean,
no shit.
Yeah.
For me, even though he's a Superman, he's kind of the everyman Superman, because that guy's got to weigh 190, 195 pounds. And, while I don't have an FTP of 500 or whatever he has, I love to see the big boys go uphill with the guys, right? It gives me a little bit of pleasure in my mind knowing that.
Yeah, no, for sure. The U.S. national gravel champion, Brennan Wedge, big, tall guy. I think he's 6'7" or something. A tall guy, big guy. And man, he did these hour power of 440 watts or something. Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I do 400 for about, 30 seconds, and I'm done for the week. So I love seeing the big guys kind of dominating too.
It kind of makes me think though, Pogacar wants to win all the monuments, right? And he's going to do that, right? He's going to do Roubaix this year, so who knows if he finally checks Roubaix off this time. But as long as Vanderpool's around, it kind of makes me think that there's no way he's ever going to win Milan San Remo. I just don't see it happening for him, because those guys are just beasts. But
yeah.
But what a race, though!
It was a good race.
Yeah, such a cool race. And you know, well, I don't know if you guys caught it early, but what a miserable race. Did you see how cold and rainy it was at the beginning of that race? I mean, they rode for 4 hours at zone 2 in the pouring down rain. And I would have used one of my wife pick-me-up calls right then.
Yeah.
Probably been back at the hotel and watching it on TV, but
although I don't feel so bad for them because they're collecting all their $1 million bonuses, so it's like, it's easy to I'll ride in the rain too. For like, I'm still waiting for my check from Valley of Tears in Texas. Like, I'll ride in the cold for 120,000, for about 4 hours. I'll do it.
Yeah, I guess so. But man, it looked miserable. They didn't look like they were having fun. But
yeah, Graham, have you heard anything about what happened to Keegan Swanson over at Cape Epic?
Yeah, man, I don't know if it was a form issue or he said he mentioned his back had locked up on him a couple times. So, I don't really know. I mean, I feel like a rider like him is going to keep it under wraps as much as he can because, like, this was a side project for him. He's still got the rest of the Lifetime Grand Prix. And don't you know that all those guys are smelling blood in the water saying, okay, maybe it's this year. Like, we can dethrone him a little bit. So
right, and they take out quite a few of the altitude races, right? So
yeah,
which usually he's almost guaranteed to win those altitude races. So without those, it might maybe make I think that's been the problem with the Lifetime Grand Prix. Is again, I have nothing against Keegan, but it's like we watch sports because we want it to be entertaining. Like if the same guy is gonna win every single time, like why even watch, right? It's like I'm like, I know Jason's gonna win it again.
it's fun because for the first year or two, because you're like, all right, this guy, he's gonna how bad's he gonna beat him this time? How bad's he gonna beat him this time? And then once you get a couple years into it or something like, this is kind of boring. Let's see somebody else do something here. Then it starts to be like, now you want the underdog because you want to see the top dog get knocked down.
Yeah. Well, kind of makes me wonder, if Keegan, I was listening to some other guys talk about Keegan and say, he raced BWR Arizona and he beat Finstey, out sprinted him. And so everyone's like, Finstey's back. Like Finsterwald, for sure. Was Keegan maybe Keegan's not there and Finstey's like where he was normally, and it just so happens that now we're seeing it. So, I mean, Sea Otter is going to be telling. I think Sea Otter is going to be a really telling race because Sea Otter this year, it's not a mountain bike race; it's a gravel race.
No, gravel race. But much of those same roads, right? I think that's what I heard. Much of those same roads. And
when is it? It's coming up pretty soon, huh?
It's coming up pretty soon here. I'm waiting for my plane tickets so I can head over there. You guys might see me on the TV,
Are you right?
I wanted to, but I don't know.
Are they flying you in specific?
Well, here's the problem with the Sea Otter. I've looked at doing it. The problem is where it's located. If I took the RV, it's such a long drive. On top of that, there's very limited spaces, so you have to, book. Like for next year, I should book now so that I can get a spot. And if you don't, you have to get a hotel, which is quite a ways away from where all the events are. So that means you have to rent a car or something like that, or know somebody that's going to be there. So the logistics are pretty challenging. But if you flew in there with a couple of people, you have a car, I think definitely doable. So. Maybe next year we'll do our live podcast there.
Are we all three of us going to do it next year then? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I want to do that one.
We'll do a live podcast there and then, hell yeah. For sure.
Wouldn't that be fun to
I think we should make it happen.
The three of us chumps racing.
That's right.
Racing.
Yeah.
I might buy a skin suit for that.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I think at that point, it's like if you're in anyway, might as well get every aero advantage you can get.
I'll wear an aero helmet. I might shave my beard.
Oh, don't do that. I've heard of here it actually helps. It actually disrupts the air as it goes across your chest.
Yeah, it soaks it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we need I want my skin suit to have one of those bladders in the back.
Yeah.
Like Dylan Johnson's Rule 20.
Yeah, that way I don't have to carry a backpack, although I need a place for my camera gear, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure that out. No, that would be cool. We should ask the viewers, do you guys want us to go do Seattle next year? Let us know. Comment down there.
Pick the race and put the challenge on. Who's going to win it?
Yeah.
I'll train you.
Yeah.
So there's a big gap. There's Sea Otter is the first one, and then there's a pretty big gap. Isn't Unbound the second race? And there's
Unbound second.
Huh. Yeah. I wonder what all those guys are going to do in between Sea Otter and Unbound. That's a big old block of training they could put in or do some other races.
Obviously we have not Lifetime, but Gravel Locos is going to happen. But that's the week before.
Unbound. Oh, yeah, they changed it, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it like a tune-up? Yeah.
Yeah. That was usually the unofficial tune-up race for Unbound. Is like usually the people that did well in the past anyway. At Locos did pretty well at Unbound. But now it's gonna be like a Gravel Locos is about, Canadians, Americans, and the Euros. It's just who's gonna win it. Those guys typically, some of them will do Unbound, some of them won't. But yeah, because of the week, it's a week before you do 100 miles in 90-degree weather, and then head down to Unbound. It's probably be humid and hot, also. That who knows what the weather is going to be like. Yeah. So pretty interesting. Cool stuff. Yeah, I saw that this. So what are you guys' thoughts on the chain walks? And I was thinking about this, but Yvonne gave me the side eye when I brought it up. I'm like, I should start waxing my chain. Have you guys done it? What are your thoughts?
I've never done it, but that's just because I'm a little bit lazy to do it. But I know a lot of people that have, and once we get into the new house, I might start doing it. You got to kind of get a little crock pot and just kind of dedicate a little crock pot to do it, and you fill it up with wax. You got to clean off all the grease and stuff, and you just dip it in there, and it lasts forever. It lasts a long time.
Yeah. I wax all my chains. I'm a
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So I use.
Oh, you do? No kidding.
Yeah. I use the Silka wax system. And
how does that work?
So it's a little
10% off.
Little crock pot.
Yep.
And so what's cool about it though is that they also have. So they kind of. I'm sure Jason, back when you had to strip a chain before, so like it comes with the factory lube on it, or if it's just a dirty chain, and you got all your Coke bottles, and you're like trying to get it all cleaned off, and it's toxic chemicals. So Silka's got this cool thing called the strip chip. So you take a brand new chain with the factory wax on it, you drop your chip in the wax, and it actually works to strip the chain. And then what is left over, actually, those polymers act as they're very chemically similar to the wax that is going onto the chain. And so it strips it and waxes it all in one step.
Oh, nice.
It is super, super nice. And then, I measured my chain the other day. I've got about 600 miles on my gravel bike chain, and my wear was like 0.2. Like hardly anywhere. And then it's clean. Yeah. Like no more of the tattoos on your calves.
Yeah.
Like a dirty chain. Yeah, it's nice, man. Like that alone is it, and it's really low maintenance once you do it, because you just buy like Silka sells like a little drip lube. Like every couple months, just drip a little bit out on there, and it is quiet, smooth. I don't care so much about efficiency, but just the simplicity of it.
The maintenance free. Well, after you do it. So this is the stuff. So you're saying you don't have to strip your chain. You just put a strip chip. This guy here looks like chocolate. Jason, don't eat
it. It tastes like chocolate too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tastes like chocolate.
So you just put it in the wax, and then you just drop your chain in. Wow.
Yeah. Drop it in there, and then comes out ready.
And then you top it up with this stuff right here, because I use this. This is what I use.
Yeah.
And then they had the no crock. So what's this no crock pot needed?
I don't know what that is. I would use. I mean, like the crock pot, like I think they, it was like $100 or $120. And the nice thing is it gets it. So you got to get the strip chip up to like 125 degrees for it to blend. And then you drop the temp back down to 75 degrees to actually wax it. So getting those temperatures right, Silk of the nerds over there, they say it's important, and they haven't steered me wrong yet. So I just listen to what they say to do and do it.
Interesting.
You know what? We should maybe talk to Jacob about this. The chemical engineer. Ask him about
this. So did you buy this also?
Yeah.
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 Nice.
Yeah.
I just
nice.
I thought about doing it, and Yvonne's like, "Are you really gonna do this?" But I definitely want to check it out. Yeah. Because what's his name? Jacob. Yeah, he made his own. We have a friend, Graham. You met Jacob last year at Mid South, remember?
Oh yeah.
With us.
Yeah.
And he made his own. He's a chemist, and he made his own nutrition. So he didn't buy it. So he found like scratch I think he likes or something, and then he came up with a formula. So he just makes his own stuff.
He makes his own tire sealant as well. Yeah.
No. How's he doing that? Like Elmer's glue or something like that?
He's got I think there's one product that you kind of have to send away for, but everything else is like household type products and stuff.
Very interesting.
Yeah, he's a chemical engineer PhD. So I mean
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's a smart dude. Is he watching us? I talked to him today, and I said, you better start watching us on this thing.
He might.
He said he might watch us tonight.
They did that gravel race in Jason, you in the chat. They were in what was the Kansas somewhere? They did a gravel race yesterday on their tandem.
Yeah, it was his birthday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting old. Got Cassie to keep him in line.
Aren't we all? Well, I'm not getting old. I'm getting younger.
Me too. Yeah, no. So I think I'm gonna definitely look into the waxing system and see if I'm able to make it work.
I think once you do it, you won't go back because it is just so nice. You just all you gotta do to clean your chain is just take just a microfiber cloth and just wipe the dust off. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
I
used to do the White Lightning.
Yeah.
Chain wax, which was similar, and it was good stuff. I liked it a lot, and then I kind of got away from it. And I've been using other stuff, and whatever I can find at the bike shop. I just kind of fill a bottle up.
You can't be on this podcast and just use whatever you find. The people need recommendations.
I just use whatever. Well,
whatever. I feel
I've been using Triflow. I've been using Rock and Roll. I've been using Gold. What's the Gold stuff?
The Gold stuff, that's good. I like that stuff.
Yeah, I've been trying them all. I got a big bottle of, is it Rock and Roll or is it Gold? I don't know. I got a big bottle of it. I haven't even hardly touched it.
Yeah.
So
what's the news on Giant and Specialized? What's going on there? Is there trouble in paradise?
Well, I mean,
because who went direct to consumer, right? Did Giant go direct to consumer also?
Scott definitely has.
Giant's been direct consumer for a while. Scott just went to direct consumer. But no, Specialized and Giant, they're like just sitting on a ton of inventory.
Exactly. I think you're exactly right. They're just trying to clear it out.
And they're just trying to sell anything they can to anybody. And it's tough for buying. Well, it's tough for bike shops now because it's hard to make money on things, especially when the people like my shop down in North Carolina. They were a Giant shop, and Giant's selling bikes online, and we're trying to sell them out of the shop.
So it's like, and they probably have better discounts, or they can leverage better discounts than the shop can.
Yeah, but then it comes into like, okay, so who's going to build the bike for you?
Exactly.
And
Because does the shop get a cut on building a bike, or is that since you're a giant dealer, you just kind of get stuck with the bill?
I know that the Specialized was not giving us a lot of money to build a bike that they sold online for us. So that's kind of why we dropped Specialized. Giant was a little bit better. I know the Trek program was that they've got a lot nicer of a deal.
Trek does well. Yeah.
I don't know what Scott's like, but I do know that I've been building Scott bikes now for a couple of weeks now. And, you know, when you get them like a low end mountain bike, like a $1,500 mountain bike, it comes in the box and you got to bleed every bike. You got to bleed
brakes,
the rear brake,
rotors. Like, I mean, that's my thing. Is like, I worry about the customer. Like, you know, I feel like it's going to hurt the overall bicycle culture as a whole, because there are going to be people that get a bike, they try to put it together, they get frustrated, and they may not ever ride that bike again, or they may think they were built right, and then it ruins, like, you know, their whole experience with what biking really can.
Well, you know what they're doing? They're just putting that brake cable or that brake hose in there. They're tightening it up, and maybe they're getting it tight enough, and they're going down the road, and next thing you know, there's brake fluid squirting out the top, or it's just going straight to the bar and they're not stopping, you know?
Yeah, it worries me. I mean, I'm curious, like, listeners, like, okay, are you willing to, like, save yourself $200 for a $10,000 medical bill because, like, you know, your brakes don't work and you plow into a tree or something like that? Like, to me, it doesn't seem worth it. Like, I tell people, you know, when they come into my shop, like, Trek, Specialized, Giant, Scott, everything's relatively the same, but buy the shop. Because, like, your shop is what's going to keep you going, going to help you out. And it's like, for me, saving a couple $100, like, while it feels good initially, is not worth it in the long run when you look at just total cost of ownership. But I'll leave that up to listeners. They can decide what they want to do.
Yeah, but that's a very valid point. I honestly think bike shops are, you know, invaluable. We need to have them around. I'm not the best bike mechanic. I know they've helped me out in a pinch. So we need to have them around. And also, they always, on the internet, you can go ask a question, right? If you're trying to figure something out, does this rotor work with my bike and this and that? You can walk in a bike shop, get a straight answer if you know, most times, even if you didn't buy the bike from there. And there's other values. I think for us, we wouldn't even have started doing gravel riding if it wasn't for the shop, you know? We saw a flyer in the shop about gravel riding. We're like, what's this? Let's do, you know? So definitely, I think the money you save by buying directly to consumer, unless you're super competent as a bike, you know, putting bikes together, I'd say it's just, you know, give the extra dollars to your local bike shop, and I think there's definitely way more value to that. I agree.
Yeah, and I think, like, you're going to earn trust with your shop too. Like, I know when people bring in a direct consumer bike to our shop, like, we're going to help them out, we're going to treat them well, we're going to take care of that bike. But, like, there's a difference in the relationship, you know, knowing that, you know, you've been with it from the genesis of purchasing the bike to helping service it, upgrade it. Like, you know, there's passion that goes into that. And I think the shops inevitably give a little bit more to those people, you know, not trying to slide anyone, but it's just, you know, you're invested in that relationship. You trust them and they trust you.
It is tough. You know, one of the problems we ran into was, you know, some shops can't stock all that inventory, you know, and a lot of times we would say, look, hey, we don't have that bike here, but go on to online and order it and just plug us in as the shop and send it here or bring it here to us and we'll do it, you know. And then a lot of times it worked out. A lot of times, you know, people would, you know, buy their own bike and go do their own work and then come and see us like 2 weeks later, and we have to fix everything that they, you know, couldn't do right. The tough ones, you know, the big brands, you know, the Specialized, the Giant, the, you know, Trek, you know, all those, they're one thing. And then you got the other whole category of the e-bikes, like the Rad bikes, the Aventons, you know, the
electric.
Electric. With where the brake levers are up here and
No, throttle that sucker. No pedaling.
That is a whole other ball of worms there, or can of worms. You know, that stuff.
Yeah, some of the horror stories I've had is like people buy these bikes, especially those off-brand bikes, electric, whatever, Aventon, and then they'll get mad at the shop because the shop is like, hey, these are custom parts on this. I can't fix this. You know, like
I've had people come in.
Fix it, you know,
I've had people come in with the fork on backwards and the brakes on the wrong way, and the headset's loose and the handlebars are loose. And
do you guys work on those bikes, Jason? Like when they bring those into your shop, are you guys working on those?
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah,
yeah. So we won't even let them in our shop.
Yeah, well,
just because of like the concerns around like
the fire hazards, right?
Well, twofold is one, like if we get a bike in that we haven't built and we know that it's a bike like that, like the only way we can feel comfortable about putting it back on the road is to completely tear it down and rebuild it, right? Like because there's liability there, and we don't want like just moral liability. And we don't get that. And then the second piece is like you said, Ria, I mean, those batteries, who knows? Like, and how they're wired up and everything. Like, we just don't touch it.
So one of the ways, one of the ways we got around it was, okay, you take the battery with you and we'll deal with all the other stuff first.
Yeah.
And then you bring the battery back and we'll make sure everything's good to go. Another thing, you know, some places you're just trying to keep the shop afloat and you're just going to work on anything that you can. And you just be like, look, this is everything that's wrong with it. And this is how much we're going to charge you to fix it all.
Yeah. And you just have to cost of that bike, you know?
What's that?
You just have to cost of that bike.
Exactly.
You know? Because by the time you tear down a lot of stuff, that's a lot of mechanic hours. And then custom parts on it and all that stuff.
Every shop's a little different. I know there's shops now that are buying like a metal box that you put all the batteries in that box. You know, and that's a fireproof box that if things go crazy, there you go.
Safe room.
Yeah. Like what a bummer if you had that, that $1,500, off-brand bike and you just tears down your whole shop.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for the customers too. Like I really do, like, because I think a lot of people are intimidated sometimes to come into shops and they don't understand. They're sticker shock to like what bikes cost, but there's value behind that because like you've got professionals that are there to support you from the beginning through the lifetime of the bike. And I see these people that have paid $800, $900 for an electric bike from Amazon, and then something goes wrong, and it can be the simplest thing, but it's a broken bike at that point, and no one can fix it, and they're stuck.
We've had all. I mean, I've had all the range, and we've just found that just being brutally honest with the customer is about the best thing you can do. And if they don't want to do your business, and sometimes you'll get dinged with that, bad review. But look,
listen, 360,
we've also had people come in and be like, I'm glad you told me all this stuff, and I get it. You guys have to make money. We had I forget what kind of bike it was, but I mean, it was one of these big fat tired e-bikes. I bet it weighed 55 pounds. I mean, it was just a tank. And I don't know, the brake was wrong on it or something. It's like, I need this brake fixed. And we went round and round. And finally we were like, look, do your best. This is the part number that you need. We can't source it anywhere.
Yeah.
Go
out. Good luck.
Call the company, try and get it. Like months went by and they finally got the part. I don't know what the argument was. I don't know how they did it, but they got the part. They brought it back to us and
got it fixed.
And they were like, we're bringing our bike here. He's like, had I known that this was going to happen, I would have never bought this bike. And at this point, they're like $1,500 into it or whatever it is. And
yes, you remember that guy when we were riding one time on we were coming back on the gravel ride, and we were coming through North Liberty, and then he was riding that big fat e-bike, and he fell over by the mall. Remember? And you tried to help him, and he almost beat you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was stuck under like one of those heavy e-bikes.
Yeah.
So he's trying to get off the ground. So Jason jumps off his bike to help the guy, and the guy was furious.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you could, like your bike was pinning you down. I remember. But he had one of those big, heavy e-bikes. I'm like, man, if you're a small kid and that thing falls on you, at 55 pounds, probably gonna leave a mark, you know?
Yeah, right. Speaking of weird, big, wide, crazy tires, Jason, you seen any of those 32-inch wheels coming into your shop yet?
No.
Oh.
What do you guys think about this? 32-inch mountain bike wheels.
Right. I've heard of. So I think it's. Yeah, I haven't seen any yet, but I've heard talks about it. Like the internal, right?
So
the internal.
It's weird that, Maxxis has dedicated the Aspen tire size at a 2.4 for that tire, that wheel size. And there's a Fulcrum, I think, is making a hub and a wheel specific for it. I can't see. I haven't found any other information on it anywhere.
I know it was in Taipei. I know it was like in that bike, the bike con or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I saw a couple pictures, but they look funky. Like, I mean, if you superimpose a 32 over a 29, I mean, if you think about throwing rubber on top of that, that is a hula hoop of a tire wheel there.
Did you ever ride Baker's 36-inch?
Yeah, once.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a wild feel to it.
That's why it's like, okay, 36, why is 30, 32, 29, I guess we're at the cutting edge of it. I guess, in a year or two, all the bike manufacturers are this is the new upgrade. We're going to swap everything over to 32 so that we can now start selling people.
We're headed towards penny farthings, right?
Yeah.
We've got mountain bikes right now. Yeah. We're just headed to we're just going to go right back to penny farthings again.
So what's the benefit when you go that wide?
So I got some thoughts on this. So I think it's a weight play. I do think it is a weight play because I think what you can do is if you're going to be able to have a larger diameter tire or wheel, it's going to roll better over, bumps and things like that, undulations. Yeah. And so what I think you can do is compensate by reducing the amount of suspension that you're using. And so that's going to, you can decrease your travel, which is going to reduce the mech there, which will ultimately reduce weight. I think that's what the play is in a cross-country sense. But I just can't imagine in any kind of technical twisty where I got to whip the bike around, trying to move that around.
It's going to be like moving a train around in the woods, especially for mountain biking. I can see maybe a road, but that's ridiculous.
I can see it being really good for gravel.
Yeah.
The Fulcrum, I'm pretty sure it was Fulcrum wheels that they came out with. There was a talk about the flex of the spokes, making it flexy, and that was a problem with those bigger wheels. But they made a hub that was flanged bigger. So the flange diameter of the hub was much bigger to shorten the spoke length to give it a little more rigidity. So that's one thing. And then they were making a carbon rim for it. All right. So then the carbon rim is going to lose some weight on it. So they were saying the wheel set was 1,600 grams.
Yeah.
That's a light wheel set right there. And I don't know the Aspen tire it's a good tire. It's a light tire. My guess is the weight on that is probably going to be, if it's super light, it might be 800 or 900 grams. It's still a pretty light wheel set for the rolling resistance.
For a 10% increase.
You're getting.
That's a lot.
And one of our viewers, Jerry, you probably know Jerry.
Oh, I know Jerry, yeah.
He asked, what about I guess I didn't even think about the foot clearance, right? Because you get that toe overlap.
Oh,
yeah. How are they working that out with such a huge freaking wheel?
And just make everything so slack.
Easy. Easy. You only people with size 8 feet can ride it.
Yeah. So Jerry, you're out. You got big like size 15 feet. So
I'm gonna be out.
If you have size 9s or bigger, you're done. You can't do it.
I feel like the bike is gonna look kind of comical. You remember like Baker's bike, that thing that he had?
Yeah,
crazy looking.
I'm like, no, I know what a bike looks like in my mind, and like seeing these giant wheels on it is just ridiculous.
I need to get. We wanted to always. I always wanted to try to get Lindsay to ride Baker's bike.
Oh,
is she short? How short?
Lindsay's 5 foot. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
Would she be able to even reach the handlebars while seated? She'll have to just ride standing.
I don't know, but.
Well, I want us to be careful though, because like we're putting this out there into the interwebs, and if like 10 years from now everything's on 32s and we blow up, they're gonna come back and be like, those old fogies.
Yeah, these guys
they just didn't want to innovate, you know.
Yep. They'll be calling us out.
For the record, I'm all about it, but I'm a little.
Please don't cancel us. They'll be calling us out like these guys. They'll stifle on freaking innovation.
Right.
So I started on 26 in late 90s, back in the 1900s. I love saying that. And it took me till like 2012 or 2013 to finally do 29er. But that was I couldn't afford a new bike. I had two really nice, solid 26-inch race bikes, and I didn't want to. So I sold them both and got one new mountain bike, whether it was a 29er. So,
and back then bikes were only $500 anyway,
I know.
We
missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, right. Should have bought a bunch of Conagos back then, and we'll be
right.
Try riding some of those rock gardens area on a 26er. With 80 millimeters of travel in the front.
And then you have the 400 millimeter handlebars.
Yeah,
your hands are almost touching.
With the bull horns
in the back too,
yeah.
With the bull horns.
Yeah.
Hey,
don't knock bull horns. I like me some bull horns every once in a while, But
27 gears to choose from.
Man, I just it's so easy to take for granted a modern mountain bike.
Yeah.
You sit on a nice modern mountain bike, it's like wow, how easy everything feels. It's like we live, obviously people look back, but right now I feel like we're living in bike heaven right now with all the innovation that's happening.
I can remember I was at a guy's house. I was working at his house, fixing his pool, and he had a 29er mountain bike. And I was like, dude, can I take a ride on that? I'd never ridden one before. And he's like, sure, take it for a ride. And I rode around the neighborhood a little bit, and then went through the grass, and there was, a little bit of woods, and I went over a log and stuff. And I was like, man, this is like riding a monster truck, that's what I started calling them, monster trucks. So I was like, man, I gotta get one of these, and that's what spurred it on. I was like, I gotta get rid of my I was like, how do I buy a mountain bike? I'm like, all right, I can't afford one by myself, but maybe if I sell my two bikes, I can get one. And that's how it happened. Yeah.
Crazy. So. All right, shall we shut it down?
Sounds good.
All right.
I could go for another hour, but we should probably.
I know.
I'm gonna have to go to bed here.
I overheat again. Who knows?
Yeah, right. You got to get out while you still can.
Yeah.
Stick that thing in the freezer so it's cool down.
I think actually when I was off, we put it in the freezer, and then Ivan brought it down and cooled off.
There you go.
It's just unbelievable. But listeners, we have 10 people watching live. It's been on and off. So thank you all for watching. We will be back next week, same time, live. Graham, Jason, you guys have any last words for our listeners and viewers? Because we're live.
Keep watching. Keep watching. Yeah, wax your chain.
Yeah.
Wax the chain, and maybe if you buy the 32-inch tire, let us know. We want to know about that.
Keep watching and tell your friends.
All right. Thanks, guys. Until next time.
See you.